If you're looking to spice up your life, stay tuned.
Hello, lovelies. Welcome to another episode of Life with Lane. We are featuring a small business here locally in Saginaw, Michigan. Our guest today is Keisha Coggle. You guys welcome her. Give her a round of applause. Hey. Coggle, I'm sorry, I mispronounced her last name. Look, I know her from school. Okay, we go way back, but her married name, sorry, forgive me. You guys, welcome to Keisha Coggle, and she is the entrepreneur of
Bilal's famous Cajun seasoning.
All right, and where'd this idea come from?
So it's actually not my idea. The seasoning was a project for my father. And what happened was my dad, he was a locally known chef and cook in the Saginaw area. He had a restaurant at the old site of the Shea Galleria Mall. There was a restaurant there at one point.
Okay.
And he was leasing from the owners. But they decided that they wanted to put the mini marts there. And so he ended up having to move his business elsewhere. But that was such a hot spot. It was in the middle of Genesee Street. And so when he moved the business, it wasn't as accessible. And so he didn't end up keeping a brick and mortar.
Okay.
So then he learned through the city that he could actually get a permit on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. And so he started setting up more of a mobile site. So he had his
a food truck?
Like a food truck. He would be outside on Genesee. Sometimes he would be outside of the club. He would just set up. He had a whole mobile operation, and he did that for many, many, many years. He would even take it on the road. He would go down south. He would do the HBCUs. He would do all kinds of festivals. And
wow.
At that point, it was before food trucks in this area were really popular. So he was really a trendsetter and an innovator at the time. And unfortunately, his health started to fail him.
Okay.
But his customers were so faithful and they were so in love with his product that a lot of times they would be knocking on the door is he, is he in there? When is he going to be outside? So the one thing that he could do when his health was failing was he could still do the seasoning.
Okay.
And so that's how that was kind of born. Okay. And at that point, I wasn't even in Saginaw. I was living somewhere else, and I noticed one time when I came home, he was buying all the ingredients from Sam's Club, and then he would literally just pull the label off the Sam's Club bottle.
Okay.
And after he mixed everything up, then he would pour everything back in there and sell these bulk quantities of the seasoning to his customers, and then they would use them for a year or however. He always mixed it like that for his seasoning because he knew that one bulk container could season 40 pounds of meat.
Wow.
And so that he had it down to a science. But I'm like, who is seasoning 40 pounds of meat at a time?
Right.
If they don't have a restaurant.
Was he selling to restaurants here?
No. He was just selling them literally to his customers so that they could make something called Cajun fried turkey. And Cajun fried turkey.
Now, if you're from Saginaw, you know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yes, it's delicious.
He invented Cajun fried turkey when I was a little girl. We are Muslims and we don't eat pork, and so we were doing turkey everything: turkey legs and turkey bologna, turkey sausage, turkey bacon, turkey. He was just cleaning up everything was turkey.
Yeah.
Because we didn't eat pork, and two, he was trying to be healthier, so he wanted to use something that was lower in fat. So he was experimenting with doing different products with turkey all the time, or different recipes with turkey. So when he came up with the mixture for the Cajun fried turkey, then he had an exact amount of seasoning that he would put in order for every batch to come out the same. Okay. And so that was one of the things that he came up with. And so everybody wanted Cajun fried turkey. So when he wasn't around, there was even other restaurants that would come up and be like, okay, now we got Cajun fried turkey. It was a very popular hometown favorite here in Saginaw. And so people wanted the seasoning so that they could, even when he wasn't outside cooking, they would still be able to
mimic
have
that
flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just thinking to myself, like, I wasn't a business person at the time, but it just seemed like, okay, if you have customers, you know, if you give somebody that much product, they're not coming back to you for a really long time,
Right.
or they're not really using all of the seasoning for a long period of time.
Right.
So why
and
not?
it's losing some of its,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So why not sell the seasoning in a smaller portion? Why not give it for your home cook? Because he's still in his restaurant mode, so he's making things, you know, even the recipes that he left behind for me for some of his other dishes are for huge quantities or catering quantities of people,
Okay.
and not like your home cook. So that's been one of the things that I've had to discover in breaking down some of his recipes so that it's just, you know, 4 servings and not 40 servings.
Okay.
And so we had a conversation when he was in the hospital one time, very close to, in 2017, which he ended up passing December of 2017. And I was like, Dad, you know, I got this great idea. I was like, I found some bottles online. What if we bottle the seasoning up? I mean, and just try to like get it in stores, and it could just be like this, you know, your business, since you're not able to cook anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He was so excited about it.
Hey.
He was like, well, you know, where would you find the bottles? You know, he's not from the internet generation. He retired from GM in the 90s, like just when computers and stuff were starting to be something more mainstream, and so he just wasn't familiar. So I was explaining to him, you know, there's bottles on Amazon, or you can buy them from, you know, restaurant supply stores, and he was just so excited, and then he passed. He passed away. So in the back of my mind, for me, I didn't really start this out as a business. I started it out as a promise. It was just a promise. Like I said, I was going to do this for him. And like when I originally figured out the seasoning, because he did leave us a book with all his recipes. And when I started to figure out, okay, this is what I need to do, and this is how many bottles I'm going to need, it was really like for one time.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a one-time project, and I'm going to make these seasonings, and I put it on Facebook, and it was to honor my father.
That's
right?
Amazing.
Yeah,
you guys see that? This is a beautiful story. Oh my goodness! It brings tears to your eyes.
Yes,
But
it does. Every time I look at
the
the bottle, you know, it's got my dad on there, and he's, you know, this was snapped at home.
Mm-hmm.
He was at home barbecuing. It's like, Dad, let's, you know, take a picture, and hey, that's his thing. You know, he held up and it was the perfect
photo
picture
for this.
Yes.
And you guys, once she put it on Facebook, anybody who's ever had the fried turkey was like, okay, let me get some of that. I need to buy some of that. Like, I need that right now in my life, because it definitely, you can't get that flavor anywhere else, okay? You have to get it from her, okay? You have to buy it from her, because, it's so delicious. It's not your regular fried turkey. It's not like when they go out in the Christmas and they just put a whole turkey in the fryer and set the house on fire. That's not it.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is something, it tastes like it has, almost like a Jamaican roots. Like it has just a unique flavor, but it's so delicious and it's addicting. Mm-hmm. And if once you taste it, you're not gonna go back. And it can go on. You can also use it on other things. I've used it on chicken. We used it on turkey. I've actually used it also on a pork roast. I've used it on just about anything. And like, you need to get more than one when you buy it, because it's, especially if you live with heavy-handed people, because they just use all this up real quick. Okay, so definitely, where can they purchase this?
So I do have a website. It's www.bilalscajunseasoning.com. There's options to choose from where you can choose local. So like if you live in Saginaw, you would choose local, so you wouldn't be charged for shipping. And then I would contact you via text or email once I get your order, and we can arrange for a pickup, or I can drop it off to you. And then of course we do also ship the seasoning all around the country, because Saginaw customers, and I won't even say my customers, I'll say my dad's customers, live all over the United States. And so once that word got out that his daughter was shipping his seasoning, you best believe that I started getting customers from everywhere. And so it was a really amazing experience to have. And I'm so proud that I was able to continue something that he started because he had this idea and he had this legacy that I wanted to make sure that I kept alive.
Okay. All right. This is amazing. So let me ask you, who's your biggest cheerleader?
My biggest cheerleader, probably, I would have to say, it's a collection of people.
Okay.
But it's my family. When he started the restaurant, I was in college, and so some of my younger cousins, he started the restaurant with two sisters. So all of their kids that are younger than me, they had the experience of actually working in the restaurant together.
Okay. Shout out aunties.
Shout out auntie. And so they're my biggest. They're so happy, you know. And over the summer, they got together and they had seasoning and they like recreated it. It's like, you know, so nostalgic. It's like, you know, they called him Uncle Junior because he was a junior. It's like Uncle Junior. Oh my goodness, this is Uncle Junior. So I feel like, you know, one of the things that really brought our family together is still bringing our family together. So I'm grateful for that too, and for being able to still keep them aboard too. My cousin, Sharifa Bennett in Atlanta, she did all the graphic designs on the label. She created the label. So she started out as a teenager, 14, 15 years old, working in the restaurant, and now here she is designing the label for our product.
Look at this.
And so
Look at
it's
this.
still, you know, a family business, because that's what my dad had always envisioned, is leaving something for the family, leaving something for his children, his relatives. Sure. And so here we are, still carrying it on. That's
awesome. That is magnificent. So you guys, make sure you got to place your orders now. What's next for Bilal seasoning?
So right now, Bilal Seasoning is just a seasoning business, but my dad also was known around Saginaw for bean pies. Okay. So I've perfected his bean pie recipe. Again, I had to go back and reconstruct it because, you know, it was a very big recipe for many pies. And he was a Superman. He would, you know, get orders for Thanksgiving and he would sell pies and he would make hundreds of pies, and it was just amazing to me that he was able to keep up like a whole menu and then make all these pies. And so that's our next thing, is to come out with the bean pies. And also too, he did leave his food trailer. And so what I am in the process of doing now is renovating the food trailer, and hopefully this summer we'll have a grand opening of Bilal's Cajun cuisine, a reopening, a reintroduction of his original famous fried turkey.
Fire, okay? Fire. And I will be there.
Coming soon.
I will be right there, okay? We'll definitely do a part 2 of Bilal seasoning, right? And she's gonna have some of those bean pies for me because, you know, I have never had one, but I've heard that they are delicious. And, you know, we're gonna forgive her today for showing up without one, okay? But we're definitely gonna get into that food, right? And I know y'all keep hearing me talking about me losing weight in every video, but it's hard because look at all this good food in Saginaw, Michigan, okay? It's hard. People say it's Texas. No, it's here. Okay,
it's here.
It's here.
And I feel like it's such a great marriage of Cajun cuisine. My dad was originally from Union Springs, Alabama. So like when he would barbecue, he had like that Alabama flavor, because I really do feel like different people, different regions, all came from different regions of Africa. So we all have a different influence on how we prepare things or how we cook. And I feel like it's a perfect marriage of Cajun cuisine, but also too mixed with that Southern cuisine as well. And so that's the easy part. The easy part was me just going ahead, and he created the recipes, and all I had to do was go ahead and fulfill whatever he started. And so I have these 3 blends here with me today. The spicy medium blend, which is a little less spicy for the people who can't take the hot. I have that request. And then I have hot, and then now I have extra hot for those people that, you know, they take the hot and they marinate it, but then they still want an extra kick and they want extra hot. So we have an extra hot seasoning too. And I would like to say too that the seasoning is best as a marinade. especially if you're gonna grill or you're gonna fry. That's how you get the flavor throughout whatever meat you're cooking. I've never seen my dad sprinkle seasoning on something and then cook it immediately.
Now, when you use it and you're marinating, are you marinating like a brine, or are you using like the buttermilk marinade with the seasoning? How do you use it?
Well, usually what we do is we try to use something that's going to give the flavor, give it a tenderizing effect, but also, like, you know, a lot of times people clean their meat with either something acidic.
Yes.
So, like my husband's family, they're from Jamaica, so they tend to soak their meat in lemon juice ahead of time. But our family in the Southern heritage, we always soak our meat in a vinegar water mix.
Yes.
And I think that has a lasting effect. That we do rinse it and pat dry, and then that's it. It's a dry rub.
Okay.
And so what I figured out, my dad did say it, and I don't know why I didn't do the calculations of the math. Like, it was 40 ounces, and he said 40 pounds meat. So I'm over here like thinking and trying to calculate how much you should use, and it's 1 ounce per pound. It's not algebra. There's no equation. And every single time, 1 ounce per pound works. You're going to get that same flavor over and over again. But I do recommend that you go ahead and tenderize it with some type of acid first.
Okay.
Pat dry, and then make sure you're measuring out. Like, each bottle is about 3 ounces, so this is good for 3 ounces or 3 pounds of meat.
And what do they retail at?
So right now they were going for $7.25, but now they're going for $8.75 just because of the cost of the ingredients have gone. I'm sorry, but the cost of the ingredients have gone up, so I had to.
Well, we know the panoramic has cost inflation, so yes. And please, family support, fully support. Please don't call our business owners asking for a deal unless you're to get ready to buy in bulk. Please support and pay retail price, okay?
Yes, and I'm hoping, you know, we have to pass that cost on to the customer, but as soon as we're able to scale it back, then we'll do that too. And sometimes we offer great deals if you buy 2 at a time or 3 at a time. I try to make it so that it's a reasonable cost for our customers.
All right. That's awesome. All right. So what would you say to others who have, maybe a family recipe or any idea of entrepreneurship that they are considering, but they're like, oh, I can't do it until all the stars align? What would you say?
I would say what really helped me in the beginning, like before I could even, it all seems very daunting when you think about starting a business. But before you do anything, get your product together, right? Like, don't go out and do all this planning and you're doing everything and you don't have exactly what you need to sell. Whatever it is, if it's the recipe, make sure you know what the proportions are, and make sure that when you're passing this recipe on to someone else, that they're going to get the same result that you're getting. Okay. Like, I can't tell you, make Cajun fried turkey, but I don't tell you what I do beforehand. Okay. So just make sure that if it's something like that when it comes to food, that you're passing on the information so that your customers won't be disappointed. The second thing is, once you have your product in place, then just come up with a plan. And it doesn't have to be fancy. Okay. I just had a notebook. Okay. And I wrote down my goals. I just wrote down, okay, I want to have this product ready. At the time I was in New York, and it was August. And I was like, I want this product to launch when I go home to visit in December.
So you set a timeline. She set a timeline.
Yep, I set a timeline for myself, a goal for myself. And then, what do I need for the product? Okay, I need jars. Okay. I need this. I need that. I just listed everything that I needed in order to even be able to do it. And then after that, then you can figure out, once you buy everything that you need, then you can go ahead and start dividing, okay, well, this is how much money I spent, and this is how much I'm going to be able to have to pass on to the customer so that it can be a viable business.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, that's all I did. And then the other thing that comes along with food and knowing about food is knowing what the rules and the laws are when it comes to selling food or selling recipes or seasonings. There's a lot of laws that are very good for entrepreneurs especially when it comes to something like seasoning, I didn't necessarily have to be in a licensed kitchen because it fell under the Michigan cottage law.
Awesome.
And so know things like that, so that you might be trying to go out and do X, Y, and Z that's not even necessary in the beginning. And then you can keep moving along and getting your certifications and your serve safe if that's what you need to do. But in the beginning, just know what it's going to take to actually have the business and start the business.
Yes, yes. So you hear that, guys. Like, you might need to be Safe Serve certified. Whatever certifications you need, you research that for whatever it is, the product that you're selling. Whether it be something that you consume, or whether it be skin, hair, or nail product, whatever it is, begin to do your research. We'll try to drop some links below of different websites and things that you can go on to help facilitate that for you, specifically if you're in Michigan. But yeah, you don't always need a big laboratory or a big kitchen or a big storefront. You don't always need that. You just have to have the a passion, an idea, and move forward on it. Because as soon as you start moving on it, you know, I believe that if it's for you to be blessed, and you will be able to do exceedingly above all you can ask for or think, okay? But you got to get to a place where you move. Don't sit on your gifts. Don't sit on your product, because somebody wants your product, okay? All right? So I just want to, before we wrap this up, I want to thank you all, lovelies, for tuning in to Loving Life with Lane. We're going to thank our guests again. We're going to thank Ms. Tahisha Kogo for taking time to share her product with us. And again, links to how you can purchase her product will be in the description box below. And all her social media handles will be linked below as well. So you can contact her and begin to order this product, okay? Before we close out, I want to leave you with your weekly affirmation. And then this one says, you know, God has the wisdom that you need for every decision that you want to make, okay? So he's ordering our steps. So make sure that you just consult him, you pray, you meditate, you write the vision and make it plain, okay? Amen. And he will order your steps, and he will bless what it is that you're doing, as long as you give glory back to him. We thank you for joining us. Have a blessed week.